Welcome back. Now, did you know that April is Autism Month? Yes, it is, and it's a time when efforts to raise awareness about the disease has redoubled. Tonight, we're looking at how parents with autistic children manage and the kind of support that's available to them. Patricia Johnson, she's the parent of an autistic child, and Maia Chung Smith, Managing Director of the Maia Chung Autism and Disabilities Foundation, are with us. Good evening, welcome.
Thank you very much.
What is autism?
Patricia, because you're a specialist, I'm going to defer to her because she's a special educator in the field.
All right.
Okay, autism is one of the pervasive developmental disorders. It is a spectrum disorder. A child who is diagnosed with autism could fall anywhere along a spectrum, from mild to severe. It is diagnosed by using 3 different criteria. Communication, behavior, repetitive and stereotypic behavior. And the communication usually can be anything from nonverbal communication to communication that is not real fluent.
Yes. It's usually detected at what age?
It's usually detected from as early, it can be detected from as early as 18 months, usually. But most children are diagnosed somewhere between 3 and 5 years old. The other part of the triad that is used in diagnosis is behavior. You have behavior, you have social skills, and you have communication. So it's those 3 areas that are looked on when a diagnosis is made. Impairments in those 3 areas.
What's a parent to do when a diagnosis is made?
Oh, well, first of all, you just want to die. That's the initial reaction, is just absolute grief. You go through the stages of grief just as if someone died.
That was your experience?
That was my experience, you know, a lot of bawling and so on. It really affects you badly because yes, all the plans you've made for this child, you just go down the drain. And on top of that, you know, there's hardly any kind of support, you know, around, and the education in terms of placement, there's going to be difficulty in finding the right placement. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of real serious problems.
And that's where you come in now, Maia Chung Smith, in terms of support. You've set up this foundation several years ago. 3 years.
We're 3 years old today.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
And 3 years later,
thank you very much.
3 years later, in terms of public awareness and support, where are we?
In my opinion, there has been a real positive escalation of knowledge about autism in the Jamaican society. It is now a topic that is focused on Live at 7, which is indicative of the fact that the media and the serious media is paying attention to the disorder. It's a disorder, it's not a disease. And just for a quick identification for parents, it's when your child acts oddly. If you're not understanding too much of the jargony speech, the child will act oddly, they will not be emotionally typical, so they won't hug, they won't kiss. They might take a long time to speak, and they have these repetitive behaviors where they rock back and forth, and it's very visible by the age of 18 months, and you are recommended, if you notice any of those signs, long time in taking to babble, no eye contact, you can't hug your child, or if they have brothers and sisters and they're not playing with them, you need to go in, because the autism is a disorder that affects the brain, but it has been proven in almost every circumstance, unless it's complicated by another issue, to respond to therapy. So it's very hopeful. It's one of those hopeful disorders.
Right. So we have to understand as well the sensitivities of Jamaican people, especially when it comes on, or the lack thereof.
Talking about disabilities and mental health. Right. One of the things that our foundation has discovered is there seems to be some internalization by parents and some, I don't know if Usain Bolt's mother and father take credit for the fact that he runs so fast, but you see, when your child has a disability, everybody takes credit for that. So you feel an indictment because something must be wrong with me and my parenting or my biological processes must be flawed. I never made any child except in the typical biological fashion. God made them all. And so one of the things that we're trying to work against in the foundation with persons like Patricia, specialists, is to make people understand it's like any other challenge that you can face. You can face a financial challenge, you can face a lifestyle challenge, but it is something that is copable with. I'll coin a word for this.
How are you coping?
Well, I like Maya's outlook. That is a very good way to look at it, first of all. It's a very healthy way.
Positive and hopeful. Very
positive, very hopeful. But the reality is that a lot of people are having a really difficult time, particularly people who are not really exposed to a wide network of support, and particularly people who are suffering financially. And I mean, all of us are, but some more than others.
Is it expensive to take care of the disorder?
Yes.
It can be pretty expensive.
How much are you talking about?
Because, oh goodness.
Well, I can jump in here because our research has indicated that in the United States, which has a lot of statistics, it has been estimated that in the lifespan of an autist, to give them basic therapies that they need to cope can be as costly as $3 million US. Wow. Now, I'm an average Joe Jamaican, and I have no access to that. The financial strain that autistic families in Jamaica have gone through has broken up marriages, has caused the children to be staying at home now because there is no governmental support in a significant fashion that speaks to them staying in school. Their schooling is obviously much more costly than a regular person's, but they will yield results if the state participates. And
so, as it stands right now, in terms of a public health policy or public education policy going forward, is there anything available for
I am
the
not
special group?
hopeful, and she's a special educator,
Right,
Patricia
you're
can speak to it.
I think we need to move past policy and think about legislation when it comes to special education. That's my personal view. Policy, there has been a policy in regards to persons with disabilities, not just people, not just children who are autistic. Yes. There has been a policy in gestation for years now, and it has not yet come to light. But we really need something that's more than that, something that carries more weight, has more teeth, that will really help parents and children. We need something that will outline a framework for education and services, and which will start at a certain point and end at a certain point with some options later on when the child reaches, say, 22 or so on. So we need that ongoing kind of thing. We need legislation that will address that. We need to know that when children are diagnosed, there is a place for them that offers quality education, quality programs, and we need therapies.
What about beyond the years of education, though? Let us say
this is where we come in, because one of the things that we're trying to catalyze is the recognition that these individuals, I said to somebody at Hot 102 recently, you can't push them off the island, you know. And autistic people have been at work at our Ministry of Finance because they have special talents. Yes. I know a civil servant who was autistic who worked his entire life at the Ministry of Finance, just retired. These people can contribute to society. But like anybody who is not given an opportunity, where are the clinics, the job clinics that will facilitate these people? We're in a gestational stage now, as she said, with legislation, but it also moves on to their college life, how they will live as adults. Will they be mistaken because they can't articulate to police for criminals and ugly situations just develop there? These are issues that are part of the society that need to be addressed, and I don't believe that they're being addressed with the alacrity that is necessary. UN General Secretary Ban Ki-moon spoke to the issue on April 2nd, World Autism Day, and the man stated tens of millions of people in the world have autism. It affects any race. It is not restricted to males, even though it affects them more. Yes. Women and men. I can have several normal children and end up having an autistic child. Whites, blacks, Indians, everybody has it. We have to look at this issue.
Ms. Johnson, do people outgrow the disorder?
No, unfortunately, no. What happens is that the manifestations can be significantly reduced.
You learn to live with
you
it.
don't see as a child gets older, with interventions for behavior and so on, you won't see that kind of behavior that he would display at 3 years old, 4 years old, the tantrums, and so on. Because if the child has the number of interventions that are required to help him to be more productive later on, to be more attentive in school and all of that, then he can pretty much adjust and do pretty well. I want to point out, I don't want to forget that a significant number of children with autism also have mental retardation. We can't forget that.
And that's an aspect, of course, that also has to be dealt with.
And that is an aspect.
I thank you. I thank both of you, Ms. Johnson, Maia Chung Smith, for coming on and to raising the awareness, and as well to apprise people of information regarding the disorder, autism affecting the brain. Thank you so much.